Hi everybody and welcome back to MEG Studio. Let's discuss in this video the inversion of control, which help us develop large systems by removing the responsibility for creating objects. Indeed, it's a design principle in which control over the creation, configuration, and life cycle of object is inverted from the developer to the framework. And this makes object instantiation easier for us since it's the framework, or more specifically the IOC container module, that takes care of it. And the control over object creation is inverted, no longer being the responsibility of the developer, but rather the framework. And this approach is effective for certain types of objects, such as services, data access objects, and controllers. However, for entities, it remains the responsibility of the developer to handle their creation. There are advantages that can be noted when using an IOC container within your system. Firstly, it allows for easy changing of class implementations at runtime. Secondly, it enhances modularity. And lastly, it manages the life cycle and configuration of objects. So for example, we can decide that certain objects should be singletons, meaning they are instantiated only once. On the other hand, other objects can be created for each client request. You have certainly heard of the Spring framework, which uses Spring Beans. These beans are objects used by your application and managed by the IOC container. They are created with the configuration you provide to the container. And there are several ways to provide your configurations. For example, you can use an XML file, create configuration classes, or use annotations such as @service or @component. Let's conclude with a brief recap of dependency inversion principle, dependency injection, and inversion of control as they work together effectively to minimize coupling. However, it's important to note that they are not the same thing. Dependency inversion principle states that high-level modules should not depend on low-level modules, but both should depend on abstractions. This promotes loose coupling and modularity in the code base. Dependency injection is a technique that suggests a component should no longer be responsible for creating its dependencies. Instead, dependencies can be passed through constructors or other methods, and the framework can handle this process for you. By applying dependency injection, you can achieve more flexible and testable code. And manually managing dependencies is not a good idea, especially for large applications that need to be extensible. This is where inversion of control comes into play. IOC is responsible for managing the creation and lifecycle of objects within your application. It helps decouple components and allows for greater flexibility and scalability. By applying dependency inversion principle, utilizing dependency injection, and leveraging inversion of control, you can design and develop more maintainable and extensible applications. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the bell for more interesting content, and thanks for watching.